Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's the 16th of December 2023, and we're just looking at the Bitcoin chart to try and kind of work out what's going to happen next. So let's do this as simply as we possibly can. So this is a logarithmic chart, and I'm going to throw a logarithmic fib over it. You've got to use a logarithmic fib on a logarithmic chart, okay? You can't use a linear fib on a linear chart, so that's important. So let's stick a logarithmic fib over a logarithmic chart, okay? These are the areas, really, and they've given you some pretty interesting areas. Number one is the 618, okay? The 618 is an important number in the Fibonacci retracement tool, and essentially that is giving us some form of support at the moment. And the next level below is the 0.5, which is kind of confluent with this area of about 32K support. But let's deal with the first. So we've got the 0.618, okay, and that sits here around about 40K area, okay. And so far, Bitcoin has come down and kind of tested close to it. There was a bit of a sell-off, and then there was a buyback. So at the moment, we can assume that this area of the 618 is acting as support. So until proven otherwise, it would seem to me that the 618 area is certainly acting as support. The next area below is 0.5, and that's sitting at about 32.5K, which is kind of confluent with this area of support, or the horizontal support of around, let's plot it in here, from 30K there up to the wick, which is around about sort of 32.2, which again is confluent with the 0.5 on the Fibonacci. So these are the two areas essentially. We've got the 618, which seems to have held a support so far, and then we've got the 0.5, which is confluent with this area of support, this horizontal area of support. Now, let me say something about the 0.5 and this horizontal support. This horizontal support here, I would say, or I would assume, is pretty hardcore or super strong support. The reason why is because it took about 31 weeks for Bitcoin to break above this area of resistance. So it took 31 weeks, which is what, 7 months to break above this area. It was able to break above, and therefore, in my view, this sort of area of the 32K mark is going to be super strong support, because it was such a difficult area for Bitcoin to flip, but it managed to flip it. So most people would assume that this area is going to be pretty tough to break. And I think if Bitcoin comes down here, there's going to be a lot of orders waiting, and the bulls will essentially really defend this area. But that hasn't happened yet. You know, we've got this 0.5 area, sorry, the 0.618 area, which so far has held as support. So I'm going to assume at the moment that this area, the 0.618, is going to hold as support until I'm proved otherwise. Being proved otherwise would be a weekly candle close, or at least a 2 or 3 day candle close below the 618 area. We could have a deviation below it and then come back up. But really, you want to look for higher time frame closes below that 618 area. So that's our first area of support, 618. Second area of support would be down here, the 31 to 33K mark. Might not even, you know, even if we break down here, it might not even reach this area of 30 to 33K. The reason being is because there's probably so many orders in this area. I mean, if you look at the order book, it's pretty stacked around that area. So it may well be people are trying to front run this move and coming in and putting bids around about the 34, 35, 36K area. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But so far, I'm going to assume this area of the 618 is acting as support. It's acted so far so good. If this area is broken, then it's, you know, it's almost a certainty that this sort of area around here from you know, the sort of 30 right up to the 35, 36K mark is going to be tested anywhere around there, really. Quite hard to say because order books are obviously moving all the time. But having looked at the order books this morning, it looks to me that the 3132K area is really going to be defended by the bulls, but so far the bears haven't even been able to break the 0.618. So interesting to see what happens there. Now let's just plot in the halving event, because obviously we've got the halving event which is coming up, which is quite a significant event for Bitcoin. That's going to come in around about the 15th of April or thereabouts. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bitcoin. Now, whether Bitcoin, you know, holds this area of support, you know, tests 50K, and there's a bit of a sell-off towards the halving, and then it starts moving out the halving, then that wouldn't surprise me. Again, if there's a bit of a sell-off here down towards this area of about 32K, and then it picks up momentum into the halving, that also wouldn't surprise me. Either way, the bottom for Bitcoin, in my view, is in with quite high certainty, and we can assume that we are now going to grind to the upside into or just after the halving. Obviously, a lot of traders, a lot of retail, a lot of investors are anticipating the ETF. Whether the ETF comes in January or whether it comes in March, I think will have some form of bearing on the market. I mean, if we get one in January, maybe that might give us a decent move towards the 50K, then a bit of a sell-off into the halving, and then a nice grind up out of the halving. Let's have a look at the Gaussian channel, because the Gaussian channel is quite interesting. I've covered the Gaussian channel quite a lot in this channel. You can go back and look at the previous videos on that, but you can see here we've got the top of the Gaussian channel, which is around about 29-30K at the moment, and obviously that's going to is going to continue to move to the upside. So if we do get excuse me, if we do get this move down towards the 31-32K mark in time, it may well be that the Gaussian channel is then in that area, and the Gaussian channel will act as some form of support. Now, interestingly enough, with the Gaussian channel, if you go back on a weekly chart on Bitstamp or BLX and have a look how the Gaussian channel has acted as support in the past, you can see that it has usually kind of acted as support. Now, we had this move back in 2018, where Bitcoin, it was a bit of an overextended move, to be honest, because it came straight from the low right up to the 786, which was probably a bit of an overheated move. You can see here, straight from the low, just rallied out up to the 786, and then there was a bit of a sell-off. It held the median line of the Gaussian channel, came back up to about 10K, probably would have held the 10K mark, or the top line of the Gaussian channel, but COVID came along, Black Swan event, obviously it sold off, but it very quickly maintained its price back above the median line and then above the top of the Gaussian channel. But I think when looking at cycles and which cycle looks more fitting to, so looking at this cycle rather, and whether this cycle fits better with the last cycle or the cycle before that, my view is that Bitcoin kind of fits with more with the 2015, 2016, 17 cycle. And you can see here how Bitcoin just kind of grinded up out of the Gaussian channel, came down to test it, and then once it was above it, it came down to test the top of the line of the Gaussian channel, but generally, well, it completely maintained above the top of the Gaussian channel until it peaked out and then went into the bear market. But you can quite clearly see here, once it got above the Gaussian channel, it remained above and traded above the Gaussian channel for a significant period of time, right up until it topped out in 2017. So there was this it didn't really go parabolic until about the March, April time, 2017, but there was just this nice grinding momentum, and holding that Gaussian channel. It was a really nice move, to be fair. And I think that sort of move is more similar to the price action that we're getting at the moment, because we didn't have a hyperextended move out of off the low. Sorry, it was just a nice little grind up, some decent sell-offs on the way. We've managed to get ourselves above the Gaussian channel now. We're a little bit above it. So it may well be that we have to come back down and test close to the top of the Gaussian channel. But I think for me, we're going to remain now above the Gaussian, the top of the Gaussian channel throughout this cycle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, let's just recap. So we've got the Fib 618 and the 50. Okay, Bitcoin at the moment is holding this 618 area. If we can't hold there, we're going to come down to at least the 33K mark, I would assume, and then probably a nice grind to the upside. So we're either going to get a move kind of like this, or we're going to get, a move like this, something like that. Who knows? But those are the two possibilities I see on the table at the moment. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to join the group, then please reach out to us via the website or DM me directly on Twitter, and we'll get you in the group as soon as we can. Thanks for your support. Hit the like button. Please subscribe. Get that algorithm going, get these videos out into the cryptoverse, and I wish you a good day. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.